I'll see some, once we see some numbers by that. Yeah, we got people going.
Okay.
Hey, what's going on, guys? We're back at it again. It's Saturday morning in Louisville, Kentucky. We're at booth 3194 at the National Farm Machinery Show. About as cool as it gets, right, at the National Farm Machinery Show. Really excited to talk this one here. We're going to talk with those big blowers, those super modified two-wheel drive truck. We're going to talk Mid-South pulling. We're going to just talk all things great about truck and tractor pulling. Hey, I have with me right here Mr. Thomas and Thomas Jr., Mr. Wallace, TJ as he goes by. Yep. TJ likes to drive the two-wheel drive trucks. Hey, gentlemen, thank you for being here today.
Yes,
how are we doing this morning?
Good.
Doing excellent. TJ, tell us the name of your truck. Tell us your highlights. Give us your quick highlights of your 2023 season.
Oh, good night. The name of the truck's Chalice Flay. It's been the main truck we've campaigned since 1996. Families drove it. Dads drove it. I've been the main driver since 08.
Sure.
Highlights from this season. Got come out done fairly well with the truck. The truck's done real good this season. So
good.
That's the highlights.
So, hey, when I first started announcing, I said, here's your biggest highlight. You made an A to B pass, and you put it back on the trailer with nothing broke. And you just showed me it. You showed me a picture of it, and it looked like nothing's broke. We survived the season.
Yep.
I would talk to any Grand National level puller in here right now, and they'd say that's how you want to run a season.
Yes,
right
sir.
there.
Yes, sir.
No doubt about it. So I've spoke with several pullers this weekend, and, pulling, it's a Midwestern kind of thing. And I say, hey, where are you from? And, oh, we're from Indiana. We're from Illinois. We're from Ohio. Ohio's got a lot of them. Iowa, Missouri. Let's go play in the clay a little bit.
Yes,
you
sir.
guys are from Western Alabama. Is that correct?
Northwest Alabama.
Northwest Alabama. Now, when I think the Deep South, I think circle track racing and mud trucks. Are you guys kind of competing with those other motorsports down there? Or is the pulling scene as hot as ever down there as well?
Around us, there's more, I'd say, circle track and dirt track racing.
Sure.
But for the most part, Northern Alabama, we've got a couple of good pulls. Most of our organization stays in Tennessee, Kentucky, and then Northern Alabama.
Yep.
And then actually we are branching out to Hammond, Louisiana, middle of next month. So
I was talking to a couple of guys from Louisiana yesterday, and they kind of mentioned that. They said, we want pulling in Louisiana.
Yes,
Bring
sir.
it to. I'm not even going to try to implement their dialect. You know how people from Louisiana sound. But they said, we want pulling in Louisiana, so that's excited. And let's talk about the organization that's making that happen. And if I've talked to one person from this organization this week, I've talked to a dozen. You guys pull Mid-South, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When you talk, okay, and I talked to your father here, he said when you talk state level pulling, this is the yardstick that everybody kind of measures things by. I was speaking in the parking lot before my day started with my dad, and that's what we were talking about. We said ITPA, the Illinois Tractor Pullers Association, and the Mid-South. Yeah. Boy, those guys represent themselves well. What do you think about Mid-South? Why do you feel that it offers such great pulling?
Our level of competition at home in Mid-South Florida, I think at any given time, we have competitors and we represent ourselves well here at Louisville.
Absolutely.
At the National Farm Machinery
Absolutely.
Show. We've had previous champions here. We've had several come up here and they qualify for the final. And it's just no slouch. You've got to be on your game when you go pulling in Mid-South to make the payout.
Yeah.
I can imagine too, and we talk about soil composition and truck and tractor pulling a lot of probably clay tracks down there, a lot of hard pack tracks. So that's going to take a lot of horsepower to get down those tracks. So you've got to be on your game because no such thing as too much horsepower, right?
At times.
Well, depending. I spoke with some four-wheel drive truck pullers, and they would say, well, it depends on how well you can get it to the ground. So let's talk about super modified two-wheel drive truck pulling. What made you gravitate to want to pull one of those two-wheelers? And how would you describe your driving style as far as putting all those ponies into the clay?
Well, I'll let you do that.
I run around with Johnny Malone back here, big camps and running around Shreveport, Louisiana, Jackson, Mississippi, Tyler, Texas, all over the South doing winter shows.
Sure.
my passion became two-wheelers, and I done that because you could pretty much take the rules back then and across the country they were compact.
Sure,
So you
absolutely.
could pretty much load up anytime you wanted to and go pull anywhere in the country.
Sure.
And that's why we're so dedicated to Mid-South today. But I mean, if we wanted to go outside state level and run national,
Yep.
Our rules are the same across the board.
Absolutely.
There's not a whole lot of change into it and everything like that. So that's why I chose it. Don't have to worry a whole lot about having to have a smoke tube if you want to go indoor pulling and stuff like that.
Sure.
And, you know, when I got into it, I didn't know about these motors as much as I do today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's stuff out there readily available. We're pretty much running the same thing. John Ford and
Absolutely.
these guys
Are you guys build your own engines, or are you guys running like a Sassy Racing engine or a Minor Brothers, or is this home built, homemade?
If I had to do this and buy somebody else's motor and run it, these two wouldn't know what they know today.
I love that answer.
We do our machine or have our machine work done. We put our motors together.
Yeah.
And when I say we, this one right here, my daughter.
Let's bring the whole. It's a generational pulling.
Yep.
Let's get the whole family in here. Scoot on in, guys. Pulling and family, they're all one and the same.
And to be honest with you, what I've been able to pass on to them and what they can translate through and to, it's why this is happening.
Absolutely. You know, I can just see the pride in your eyes, and I can hear it in your voice. And guys, you're seeing it right here. Pulling, it's a family thing, you know, and I love what you say. So anytime you win, okay, that's built, not bought, right?
That is definitely right.
Does that make you stick your chest out a little bit farther when you do have those victories?
It does. I ain't scared to run against anybody. I try to. We try not to beat ourselves, and I'm ready to run against anybody. And whenever we can beat somebody, it's we know their stuff's on top. We know we done something good.
I can just tell by talking to you too that your stuff's going to be right there because you don't have that much confidence in it unless you know that it's going to hold and it's going to make a pass.
That's right.
If you ever did, if you could kind of look at the schedule across the board and sneak away from Mid-South for a weekend and hook a national event, what would be the one that you would love to win at? Let's say you've got one. Let's say all the stars align and you could go pull at a national event. Where would you love to see yourself winning at?
Bowling Green, Ohio. I've never gotten to run there, but I would love it.
Were you guys watching who was in the previous interview?
Yes, I did.
So we just got done talking to one of the blue shirts. We just got done talking to Keith, who's on the board of directors there. Hey, man, you know who to talk to. He said they ran 72 two-wheel drives, and as your dad says, you're not going to have to make any adjustments. You can come right up there and translate with them at any point in time. But speaking of new things and big things, you've got some new news. You got some big news. We're not just a one-truck team anymore, are we?
No, sir. We are going to campaign the old it's Riding Dirty from Keith and Ricky Long. And made threw a few hands. The last hand recently was Tim Beatty as a lumberjack. We recently bought that truck, and that's going to be our main truck this year to campaign and learn that chassis and everything. So
Keith and Ricky Long out of Kentucky, correct?
Yes.
No strangers to winning in top tier level pulling. So anytime you're dealing with a couple of individuals like that, you know, we've seen their big mods in the past. We know that they know how to put power to the ground. Are you excited to have a piece of equipment like that to be running with?
You have no idea. We've had the same chassis since, well, I don't know when it was built, but we've had it since 96, and it's been on the track since 96. A few upgrades, a few different things, but I'm ready to sit in the seat of what everybody else has got and see what it feels like.
So you're coming into the to the 21st century and pulling, and you're
very much so.
I love it.
Very much so.
2-truck team, whole family's here. Pulling's all about family. That's why
right.
we love it. We've got some big plans for one of those trucks because I'm sitting here, I'm counting trucks, I'm counting drivers.
Yep.
Once all the ducks are in a row and the blower belts are tight and everything's good, who's going to be sitting in what?
Most likely, because I have the experience. The old truck will be my dedicated. That one is probably going to get the new chassis.
How excited are you to be doing some 2-wheel drive truck pulling with the family?
Well, I've driven in the past, and I love it. right now I'm working on growing the family a little more, and I'm gonna get back in the seat of it. But it'd be fun to be able to drive with brother.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. So I got to ask the obvious question. Are we going to put this one in the driver's seat in about 16 years?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
she's gonna give me a good hard kick.
So I was named after a two-wheel drive. I am Emmy because I run with Emmy, so I'm definitely.
Oh, my, man, you're like the sassy Massey of the South.
Exactly.
Oh, this is too wonderful. I love everything about it. You heard it here first, guys. Emmy, she's going to take the power with the Hemi. This is wonderful. This is one of the most wholesome interviews that I've had the pleasure of doing. Mid-South, Southern pulling, Western Alabama, sneaking up to Bowling Green and going to win one of these.
I hope so. One day.
What are your, with the new truck, what are your goals for the 2024 season? What are you hoping? You know, you're learning the truck. What are some of the small things you're just hoping go successful along the way?
Mainly learning the chassis and making it compete, making it as consistent as we have been with our old chassis, and hopefully getting on a few toes.
Consistency is the name of the game. Winning pulls doesn't win points championships.
Right.
Consistency wins points championships.
That is exactly right.
You know, winning pulls get you trophies.
That's right.
Consistency gets you championships.
That's right.
So we're looking to the future here. Let's take a step back and let's talk to Dad over here. What are some of your favorite memories of pulling in the past?
I've got to go back to our season in 2007. The kids were driving the truck. Daddy drove a few, but the last hook of the season, we pretty much had the points wrapped up. Got to put Mom in the seat. Won the championship, and you can't buy that.
You can't buy it. You can't buy it. Man, I'm gonna write down everything I've heard in this interview. You can't buy that. We got to slide over then. What's it like to jump in the seat of one of those two-wheelers to drive?
Wow. It was interesting. I'll always remember the most important to me was we left Knoxville, and we knew that it was probably the points championship. We had to hook. We had to show up and hook.
Caught in the chain, and
I'm in the back seat of the truck between these two all the way home. Is Mama, you got to do this. Mama, you got to do this. Mama, you do this with the brake. You do it with the throttle. That night, it rained all day the day before, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna cancel this pull, and I'll never do it.
And you're scared to death, right? Because you don't want it. I completely understand.
So I got in there, and I'm like, there's a concrete barrier. I got in, I started going toward the concrete barrier, and I thought, what in the world am I doing? And I dropped the throttle, and they're like, you were gonna win.
So what you're telling me, things come at you quickly when you're in one of these machines.
Absolutely.
You guys are amazing. The amount of passion, the amount of family love that I feel right here is wonderful. I'm going to give you a lighthearted question. I'm going to have a little fun, okay?
Yes.
I want you guys to put your hand behind your back or put your hand somewhere you can't see it. And then I'm going to ask, and I want you to raise your hand if you are the one this applies to. On the count of three, I want to know, everyone here, who's the best driver? Okay, you put your hand up if you're the best driver. 1, 2, 3. Who's the best driver? That is too much. He says, you know what, you guys do great, but if you ever want some advice, you come and talk to the old tried and true back here.
I'm going to be honest with you. When these two get in the seat of the truck, I have to set the truck up totally different.
Yep.
Is that right?
I've got one that she's impatient. She's a drag racer at heart. She don't mind leaning on it.
There's a lot of drivers that do it that way. Jeff Hurt and Tyler Slaw would say that's the only way to drive it. Go out there.
Well,
Left foot comes up, right hand goes down.
Bend it and send it. I mean, I've heard that this past week, and that may be something that gets put on the back of this new truck.
Bend it and send it. I love it. I love it. Well, folks, this has been a wholesome one. I'm so glad you guys stopped by. I'm so glad we've had the time to do this. You're here as a family, but it takes a family to go pulling.
That's right.
TJ?
Yes, sir.
Anybody that you need to thank back home, anybody you want to give a shout out to out there on the internet, and then you guys can just go down the line if there's anyone that you want to holler at before we get out of here.
I want to just thank family, obviously, for doing this. I want to thank, first off, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I want to thank opportunities He's given me in my life. He's walking me through it, every bit of it. And my family for allowing me to do this. Dad for built starting the truck back in the 90s for me to even have the opportunity to do this today. My sister for allowing me to take the seat of it for the majority of it.
Sure,
And
sure.
anytime she wants it, I'll gladly, as long as she helps me work on it. That's the main thing.
Bend it and send it and put it back together.
That's right. A few Unlimited Motorsports helps us out a little bit with some of our components of the motor. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody.
I almost hate when I ask people, is there anyone you want to thank? Because there's always someone you leave out. You know that he's out there thanking you. It's in his heart. It's in his head. You know he's out there for you. Ma'am, anyone you want to thank?
Just my parents.
Sure. Sure.
This was a passion of mine a long time before I ever bought a truck. And to be able to go through what I went through, family there with me all along, and let alone with my children be able to run, that's what the second truck came about for. I want to see them go down the track, eat on one event, and see. You know, it's bad enough when you go out there with competition we run against.
Yes.
But competition's not my heart right now. My kids enjoying themselves.
Yes. Yes.
But I had a passion for this for a long time.
Sure.
And never dreamed that I'd get to where we're at now.
Sure.
Let alone what the future holds right
Sure.
now. So, I mean, it's labor of love.
Yes.
I run around and help folks before I got equipment. After I got equipment, those first few years, it just seems like it was tearing your heart out.
Sure.
So, you know, to get on, learn these things. But I've got to go back and give kudos to the people we run with.
Sure. Yes.
Sure. Our competitor, you talking about family and what you see right here, our group of people are family.
It's a whole reflection of what I'm working with right now.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Drag racing, we could have got into that and probably saved money.
Sure. Saves money.
You
You know how you make $1 million in pulling? You start with $2 million.
That's right.
But to have the camaraderie we have with our group of people, I wouldn't take it.
That's well said. Well said. Ma'am, anyone that you want to thank? Anyone you want to say hi to?
I'm just thankful to be able to have my family together. And, you know, something would come up and say, well, what if we don't go this weekend? I'm like, what do you mean? What if we don't go? What time do we leave? Not are we leaving? When do we leave?
Where are you parking? You know.
So I love having my family with me.
Absolutely.
Spending time with them.
Absolutely.
And that's the main thing for me. Growing up in it and being the child of it, I have a passion to pass it to my kids and pass it to my niece. And it's just, you can't replace the family aspect of pulling. And I absolutely love it. And there's so many, like, I heard somebody talking in an interview recently, you can go anywhere in the country and be within at least an hour or so, or I say in the country, in the southeast or the east side of the country, generally for us, and be real close to somebody that would give a shirt off their back to help you.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I've been to everyone I've interviewed. These are salt of the earth people.
Yes.
I mean, these are the ones that this is what you build on. This is absolutely wonderful, guys. This one has been special to me. The family pride is evident. It's been wonderful, guys. Booth 3194 Beer Money Pulling Team. I'm here with the Wallace Motorsports clan, representatives of the Mid-South. It's the measuring stick that they put up against anyone. If you want to test your two-wheel drive pulling skills, come play in the clay. They'd be glad to have you.
Yes,
hey, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us
Thank
today.
you.
Guys, thank you for watching. Come see us at the National Farm Machinery Show.
Play it in the clay.